All right, it's the MotogawaMusic Entertainment Show right here, and we are, oh my gosh, we're ecstatic and excited about what's going to happen today on our show. It is Cinco de Mayo. That's right, May 5, Cinco de Mayo. And we got Joyce Irby in the house. What's up?
Woo!
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
happy
that's
to
right.
be on the islands.
Yeah, I tell you what, she is from the group, the awesome group with the big hits, Klymaxx, you guys, and that's Klymaxx for people. You know, nowadays you got to spell it out, right?
Yes,
Klymaxx. All right,
yes.
thank you so much for joining us in the studio today.
I am excited to be here. Me and Tweety are excited to be here.
Yeah,
Yes.
Tweety. I thought, putty tad. Okay. Hey, so once again, thank you so much for being part of our show. And man, let's just say, we are big fans. Me and Al, huge fans. I miss you. Meeting in the ladies' room. The men all
Yeah.
pause. I can't even. I can't. I can't get. There's so many hits.
Let me
Thank
ask
you.
Joyce.
Thank you.
Let me ask
Yes.
Joyce something.
Sure.
Do you know what my first concert ever in my life?
It, don't tell me it was a Climax concert.
It was
Ooh.
That's amazing. Was it? Wait a second. Over there
1987.
at at the is it the Blaisdell Center with
Yes.
Lisa or
No.
wait a second. Club Nouveau.
Yes. Club
Yes,
Nouveau.
I remember
Oh,
that. I
Yes.
remember that.
That was my very first concert in my
That
life,
is
1987.
that is amazing. That is
And
amazing.
wow.
Club Nouveau at the time had a number one hit with Lean on Me. But
Hmm.
you guys were the headliners. Obviously, you're definitely the
Actually,
headliners. And
I think we came on before them, but it doesn't matter. But it was just wonderful.
Mm.
wait,
It was
you came
wonderful.
before them?
I think so. I think so.
Man, my memory is not there.
Well, what you remember is that that was your first concert, and we were there, so it's an honor.
Yes,
That is an
yes.
honor. Thank
Man,
you
I
for
that's a full
even
sharing
I
that.
circle right there.
I even wrote a school article for Climax. I did a concert review in my school
Wow.
article, and I still have it.
I
It's
love
right
it.
back here.
Wow.
And 37 years later, I'm talking to you. I can't believe it. I'm so starstruck right now.
You
It's
guys got to copy me on that. That's it.
That's
It's
amazing.
such an honor. Thank you.
Wow.
yes.
Yeah. Man,
Wow.
and of course, myself, I remembering the high school days and at the high school dances and everything like that. And man, as soon as Menopause came out, boom, everyone was on the floor. Boom. I mean, it was automatic. Hardly
Yeah.
anyone on the floor. All these other songs and everything like that. But when your guys' songs came on, boom, it was done. It was game over.
I love
So
it. I love
man,
it.
You guys were ahead of the time because there's no such thing as a all women dance group back
mm,
then. We had like the Go-Go's and the Bangles, but they're like pop rock in the 80s, right? But you were the first ones who
yeah,
did,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. We
So you
just.
guys was on the upper echelon with Prince and the Revolution, them guys, and all that.
mm,
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Man,
yeah,
those were the days. Whew,
man,
I am so grateful that people still remember and care about that music and talk about what they were doing or where they were at
yeah.
the time that they heard it. It's like emotional time travel. And I love that. I love
Yeah,
that.
exactly. And it's that's what music is. I mean, to me, right, is that
Yeah.
it is definitely a memory that comes to people. It's part of your,
Hmm.
it's part of your life.
Yeah.
It's like
Part of
literally
your
part of
journey.
your life. Yeah,
Yes. It's part of your
definitely.
journey.
Um,
Yes.
so I've been blessed to download your digital. I'd still say yes book, your memoir.
Wow.
Definitely
Thank you.
supporting everything you do, and especially
Thank
after I
you.
found out I got a chance to interview what. So I was reading through it, and question that comes to mind is what is the story of you and George Clinton?
That's funny. George was sort of like he became sort of like a pseudo dad when I was like my father
Hmm.
was a military man. He
Yeah.
was a lieutenant colonel. So
Okay.
I grew up mostly on post. So it was yes sir, no sir, And
Yeah.
then he notices I'm following this guy around who looks completely insane to him with my bass. Okay. And my father's thinking, what is wrong with her? And I
Mm.
get that. But George, this is a funny thing. I used to stand on the loading dock with my
Hmm.
bass.
Yeah.
Like when I started like when I was 16, and I would
Uh-huh.
just be playing and playing, and I was hoping that the artists who walked in would notice me.
Right.
And
Right.
so, but George was like my favorite because
Uh-huh.
I used to imitate him all the time. And finally, he was like, "Hey, come on, kid." So it got to be where whenever he was traveling in certain places around North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia,
Yeah.
um, those areas, I would show up and I'd be standing outside.
Mm.
He'd have them bring me in. And then this is the funny part. So after the concert was over, we'd go back to his room, and I had no idea about other things that were going on.
Yeah.
And he'd sit down and I'd sit down and he would listen to me play and he'd tell me, "You're going to be wonderful, wonderful, wonderful." And then he'd send me on his way. But
Wow.
outside of his room,
Wow.
everybody was going crazy because they all wanted to come in and party. And he was like, he made them wait until I could play for about 15 or 20
Nice.
minutes. And then he'd tell me, "You're going to be great." And then
Mm.
I'd leave and then the party would start. And
Mm.
actually, George didn't offer me any drugs until I was almost 50.
Oh.
Okay, because I've known him since I was like 16, and I was
Okay.
like, "No, I'm high enough just being around you." But he's totally clean now. But I'm
Yeah.
just, there are so many stories about things that happened, and I got to go
Yeah.
to the studio with him
Mm.
when I was just being Fenderella. I was like a bass playing MC,
Right.
and
Right. Right.
so anyway, it was just we're still close. I love him. I'm so grateful that he's healthy and that he's here.
Yeah.
And he's just a beautiful soul. He is a
Man, I tell you
beautiful
what,
soul.
George Clinton, I love his music. I mean, we want the funk, I'm
Dun,
all
dun,
come
dun,
on,
dun.
man. Like, ugh, that guy is amazing, and his
He's
mothership. I mean,
amazing.
he's out there. He's beyond out there. The mothership. I mean,
Yeah.
man, I think he came from like outer space or something.
He
Something.
he probably would not dispute that. We've had discussions about otherworldly things. Yes.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
brings to me the next question. Initially, you were more of an MC, and you had a single as a Fenderella called "A Wild
Yes.
and Crazy Song," which we are going to play in our show, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Oh
That's
yeah,
amazing. That's
that
amazing.
probably makes you the first solo female MC on the national charts, as it came on October in 1980.
I think
Have you been
so.
able to find any female MCs who charted before you?
I can't. And I talked to at that time, there were three major publications. There was Billboard, which is the only one who survived,
Hmm.
Cashbox, and Record World.
Oh,
And the archivist for Cashbox told me who actually gave me a copy of the chart that had me on it, he says he's not aware of any other female
wow.
who charted before I did in 1980. There was a group called The
Mm,
Sequence who
mm.
charted earlier that same year, but there was no solo female. And
Wow.
it's like I'm not the best at anything, but I believe I was the first
Wow.
female MC on a national chart. And then
Wow.
4 weeks into the record being released, I wouldn't sign the contract because it said you don't get paid anything. And I was like,
Yeah.
what? I don't think that's right. It still
What?
would have done me good though if I had signed it because the record would have picked up more because Frankie Crocker went on the record. And
Mm.
that's what from WBLS, and that's why so many people in New York know about it. And
Wow. Okay.
but then they had to pull it. But it's an amazing thing to think back. And I was like looking and looking, and I think I might do a Facebook post and offer
Okay.
to pay somebody like $300 if they can prove to me that I was not the first solo female
There you
MC
go. A contest.
on a
Wow.
national chart. Just
Wow.
find me somebody else on
Yeah.
either Billboard, Cashbox, or Record World. So
Okay.
maybe I'll do
Wow.
that. Okay,
Um,
thanks.
how did you and Bernadette Cooper come up with Climax's first hit, "The Men All Pause," which is a
Oh,
huge hit? Oh my gosh, I
That's
love that song.
that's easy. Since
Mm.
since since I'm a bass player, I was dating a guy who was touring with The Deal when they had LA and Babyface because we were all on
Mm.
the same label.
Mm. Mm.
And they were getting prepared for something, and I had a little 4-track recorder, and I kept hearing this Rick James song, "You and I," boom, 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 boom. And I said, I want to do a song that hits
Mm.
like that. So I
Mm.
took my little 4-track and I did a little beat, and I just went boom, 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 doo doo doo, boom, boom, boom. I said, yeah. So I, worked that up.
Oh, okay.
And then I took it, I took it to Bernadette because
Yeah.
she's so good at creating. You never know what she's going to come up with, but
Mm.
as a lyricist, she is brilliant and crazy and very unique. And so I did the music, she did the lyrics, and the rest is history. That was it. That was our first hit single.
And to this
Wow.
day,
Wow.
when you hear it, everybody goes to the dance floor because of that bass line.
That's the
Yeah.
idea.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. I know,
Yes.
and you such a
Yeah.
funky bass player. I gotta say, man, you funky bass player. I mean, you funky like what's his name? I love that bass player. I can't think of his name right now. From Weather Report. Uh,
Oh,
can't think
he's
of his
too
name.
funky.
That
Yeah.
guy is
The
awesome.
the people that I
Yeah.
adored as a bass player were Louis Johnson and Larry Graham. And I got to meet and
Oh
sit
yeah.
with both of them. And Louis Johnson made me a practice tape back when
Mm,
I was like 18 or something. It's
mm,
on a cassette. I've got to
mm-hmm.
find that. And Larry Graham would sit with me because it's the young lady. She's out there with that bass. They're like, okay, okay. She
Yeah.
just, And a guy named Wizard from a group called Mother's Finest who
Wow.
showed me how to do what they call a upstroke, where you slap the string down with your thumb and then use your nail to pop it back. And I was
Mm,
like, oh, this hurts. But
yeah.
yeah, listen. Right now, there's a million kids that could play me under the table, but
Mm,
I'm like, okay, I still did what I did. I had my time. I play not as well as I used to play,
yeah.
but I focus, I guess, a lot more on singing. So I sing better than I used to sing. But I'm just happy to be in a body doing music that people
Yes.
still want to hear. You know.
Well, let's go ahead and play that hit. And, I'm sure you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I remember that song. The Men All Pause. Right now on the MotogawaMusic Entertainment Show, we will be back.
Okay,
And
cool.
now let's go ahead and do a wild and crazy song. I'm telling you, it's a wild and crazy song. There's even something about Teddy Pendergrass in there. Oh my gosh, it's super awesome, man. Check it out on the MotogawaMusic Entertainment Show. All right, at this time, I'm going to have my partner in crime ask the next question.
All
So
right,
George,
Alex, what you got?
what does it mean to you to know that people still love your music?
It is a blessing. It is a humbling experience and a blessing that
Mm,
I can't describe. It's just it's just beautiful. And it's like when you get the opportunity to actually perform in front of people, because your audience ages with you and
hmm
then indoctrinates often their children with with your
mm,
music as well.
yeah, next generation.
But coming to Hawaii to perform, it's like a love exchange, a spiritual experience. And I had no idea how big I'd still say yes was.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were like, oh, no, that's more of an island song. I was like, oh, because when we did it so early in the show
Mm,
and the applause was so loud, I was like, oh, maybe we should have switched the order. I didn't know. And everybody was they were just so polite and so appreciative.
mm,
And, and like you feel it in here. So I'm grateful for every person that any of us have ever touched with Klymaxx music, with my music. It means something.
yeah, for sure.
It means something. And we want to lift people, and sometimes, I'm sure, I Miss You is a song that brings back a lot of memories, some positive and some not so positive, but hopefully it's like a healing tool as
Mm,
well,
yeah,
for
yeah.
people like with loss, because we all suffer loss.
And what's cool is that you bring that to people back in the day, and now, boom! Fast forward to 2024, you're bringing it
It's amazing.
again
It's
with some
amazing.
salsa. You
It's
know what I'm saying? Let's
amazing.
get some tortilla chips up in there. Yeah, yeah. All right. What's the next question, Al?
So my next question is, okay, this has come to your memoir. So why did you write your memoir?
Oh, that's simple. Because we all have incredible stories,
Mm,
but we don't know unless we share. But sharing is a risk
mm, true.
because sometimes you have no idea how screwed up we all are, I'm thinking, well, I'm the only one that's really got some of this crazy stuff going on, but that's not the case.
Yeah.
Everybody's got something going on. It's just that
True.
my crazy might not be your crazy, but it's somebody else's crazy,
Right.
you
Right.
know? And I kept saying to myself, go ahead and risk talking about really painful, embarrassing things as well.
Mm.
So somebody else can read that and be like, oh, wow, that's me too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it makes us not feel, I guess, quite as isolated, realizing that we're all dealing with stuff. And,
Oh,
you
for
know,
sure. Yeah.
yeah,
We
that's the
all
thing.
do.
I just wanted to share for the sake of people who were reluctant to speak out about their pains and triumphs, because life
Mm.
has both, you know.
And I tell you what, in me reading just some of it, I haven't read all of it, but I downloaded the digital. And by the way, it's called "I'd Still Say Yes," ladies and gentlemen. Oh yeah, I'd still say
And let's
yes.
say 4.9 stars on
Yeah.
Amazon.
Oh
Ooh,
yeah, that's right.
yeah.
Yes.
Shameless plug. Let's go. I tell you
Yes.
what, I'd still say yes. In me reading it, Joyce, I'm gonna say that I'm positive that it's helped a lot of people in their time of need. You know what I mean?
I
And
hope so.
they listen to it. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I wouldn't
I
be
hope so.
surprised if like it might have even helped somebody who was contemplating suicide, and then they read about that one part in your book. You know what part I'm talking about? That one part,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
just took them out and said, okay, wait, life's worth living. So
Yeah.
that's
And
good
you
that
can, yeah.
I believe your book brought some positive vibes to the world.
I hope so. If you can hang on for 1 second, for
Hmm.
1 minute, for 1 hour, and just get beyond that black hole,
Hmm.
it'll change. It'll change sometime sooner
Yeah.
than you think. But it's about, because I hear people say, like, I lived in San Francisco for a while, and the Golden Gate Bridge is a
Hmm.
famous place people like to jump off. But for the few who have survived, have all said the same thing. The minute I jumped off that bridge, I wish I hadn't done it.
Mm.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
anyway, let's try to
Yeah.
stay. Let's just try to stay in our bodies and
Woo.
get it worked out, people.
Well, I'll
Yes.
tell you what, speaking of I'd still say yes, let's run that one right now. Run that one. Big hit, once again, from Klymaxx and, of course, Joyce Irby on the MotogawaMusic Entertainment Show. We'll be
Yes.
back. Mm,
Oh, thank you.
there it is. I'd still say
Yes.
yes.
I'd like to give a shout out to my friend Heather Hale for gifting me this book. Thank you, Heather.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you.
Sweet. Sweet. All right. So the next question I have for you, Joyce, once again, is are you still recording?
Yes, because Cinco de Mayo today is a block party with the salsa mix of I Miss You, which I absolutely re recorded in the same key. Yes.
Oh, same
And,
key.
it's the
Nice.
same key. Yes.
Okay.
We're
Okay.
doing a promo. Decent Entertainment has a promo that goes from the original into the salsa mix. It's the exact same key and the tempos. I don't know how she did it. It's fabulous.
Mm,
And yes, I am absolutely recording and grateful that my voice still sounds good.
yeah.
Yes. So
Amazing. Not
I'm
not
like,
good. I would say
yeah.
amazing.
I'm like,
Yeah.
girl, you better record a whole bunch of stuff the next year or two. Get it all out. So absolutely. And I'll probably just be releasing singles every
Cool.
4 to 6 weeks with something new, up
Yeah.
tempo, slow, up tempo,
Heck
slow.
yeah. Heck
But
yeah.
yeah,
We look forward to that. Oh my gosh.
yes.
Oh,
I'm
yo,
That's my
your
next
voice,
question, but you already answered that question.
your voice is so good that I thought the salsa mix was the original "I Miss You" voice. So,
Mm,
I
Thank you. Yes, no,
hmm.
it's this much older voice.
Hey, do any of the original group members still communicate?
Oh yeah, listen, all of us have been communicating a lot the last 2 years. Like Bernadette and I also have a record we're doing together called Just Love Me that will probably come out in about 2 months.
Cool.
And we may do some recording together, all of us. But since Bernadette and I never stop recording, we're like, well,
Hmm.
let's do some stuff together too. So we're doing that,
Yeah.
and we talk. a lot about one thing. The original guitar player keeps trying to copyright the Klymaxx name so that none of us can use it.
What?
So that brought the other five of us together. If we weren't
Stronger.
talking before, we're
Yeah.
all just like this
Tight. Yeah.
in order to stop that, because it's just it cheats the audience, because they
Yeah.
hear it's Klymaxx and they go and they see nobody who ever sang on any Klymaxx record ever, nobody
Mm.
who was on any Klymaxx record except for her playing guitar, and then her trying to stop us from being able to be Klymaxx, which is not cool. So yes, five
No,
of
that's
us.
definitely not cool. And I read that
Yes.
in your memoir, in your book, and everything, and the examples that you talked about, Lakeside and some other people. Like, man, it's
Yeah.
kind of sad that that
It's
happens in the business, man.
yeah. It's
Going back,
what I call legacy appropriation.
Yeah,
going back to
yeah.
the original
Legacy
members,
appropriation.
I saw the VH1 special with the bands reunited with Climax, and
That was
that
fun.
that was,
Mm.
yes, I enjoyed that episode so much, and I see the riff between you and your guitar player, and oh man, that was. And I love how Bernadette Cooper was, explaining to her like, oh, as I eloquently stated before.
This is Bern is so extra, but Lorena, Robin, Lynn, me, and Bernadette have always been, even with our clashes, nobody ever tried to like take something from anybody else. But this
Yeah,
Yeah.
one person, she keeps trying to take stuff from the rest of us, and we're like, stop it. Just
yeah.
stop it. It's crazy.
And another part, man, because I was engrossed in your book actually, and I don't read at all. I don't like to read at all. A comic, maybe a couple of pages, and then I'll take a break, and But I
Get
was
it.
just kept reading, right? And there was a part in your book where I think it was I forget what song it was, "I Miss You" or something like that, where you wanted to share your credits, even though you wrote it, you wanted to share it as
Oh, well,
Climax
no, I
wrote it.
didn't write it. I produced it. Lynn Malsby wrote it.
Okay, yeah, but
Lynn
there was
Malsby wrote it.
one right. There was one part in that book that you shared it with Climax's name in
Yeah.
there and all that
Yeah.
good
And I
stuff.
just put like produced by Klymaxx. So it's the dynamics in a group are really can be
Mm,
really difficult.
hmm.
So you want to try to empower everybody. Like Dick Griffey, the man who signed us at Solar Records in the 80s,
Yeah.
used to say, everybody's equal under poverty. As soon as you have some success, you ain't equal no more. And it's going to be a problem. And he was right. Okay, he was right.
That is true. No, that's
So,
awesome that you
yeah.
did that for the group. I mean, not many will,
Yeah, just
So
yeah, I mean, we were even splitting, even when we wrote songs, we were like splitting our publishing with each other so everybody could have something. That lasted for a while. Then it all
mm,
blew up, but our intentions toward each other were really, really good when we started. And at least
that's
five of us are still really cool.
that's so awesome.
Yeah.
My next question, Joyce. People don't know that you were probably more successful with your production and music publishing company, Diva One. Shout
Yes.
out to Diva One.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. How did you become a developer of artists, songwriters, and producers?
I just trying to help everybody.
Yeah.
Just there was all these, like, when you have a little success, people bring stuff to you like, listen to this, listen to that, or my son plays a keyboard, blah blah blah. But to make a
Hmm.
long story short,
Yeah.
I we had a gig in Atlanta,
Yeah.
and I noticed this young lady who played bass named Deborah Killings, who's
Okay.
like she's big as a gospel artist here and played with like Outkast and a bunch of people. But I was like,
Nice.
that's a younger, better version of myself. And when I started hanging out here to work with her.
Mm.
Then I started meeting all these interesting people. And there was a kid on her front porch named Dallas Austin who was like, I have these songs. And I was like, so let me hear them. He had simple 3 chord songs. I was like, these are hits. And I started taking him and a couple of other young people I discovered
Mm.
to meet Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis when they opened Flight Time, to
Uh-huh.
LA and Babyface, because we were on the same label. I just started putting them in the face of other people and just paying for some studio time and recording some
Oh,
things. And
yeah.
that turned out pretty well for some of them. And for me as a music publisher, it's like I would sign songwriters. So I guess
Wow.
Dallas Austin was the biggest songwriter and producer
Mm.
that I ever signed.
Mm. Dallas. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
so those were the good old days, and that was fun.
So you still have Diva One? It's
Oh
still.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I own a small portion of like the TLC Boys to Men catalog.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
Hmm.
okay.
And there's a bunch of things, some by smaller artists, but Dallas
Mm.
was did those things through my company. If you even look on the Boys to Men album, it'll say produced by Dallas Austin for Diva One Productions. Back
Sweet.
when with Motown Philly and stuff, because they,
Oh snap.
we recorded all of that. They Boys to Men hadn't even heard that record. There was no Boys to Men when
Mm.
Motown Philly was cut. It was just
Oh,
Dallas would cut a lot of tracks. I
okay.
pay
Like
for
a
studio
demo.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd demo some stuff, and I would
Hmm.
come in and edit some stuff and be like, put this part, this one here, and put that part there. And then because I was a solo artist on Motown,
Mm.
and had access to all the executives there, I was like, I have this kid who's a genius. And
Right.
actually, I have a copy of my Video Soul interview with Donnie Simpson where I was talking about Dallas. And I was like, I have a
Sweet.
kid who is a genius. His name
Mm.
is Dallas, and he's going to be really, really big. And then 2 years later, he was a number one pop producer,
Oh
according to
yeah.
Billboard in this country. So,
You called it.
yeah, yeah,
You definitely called it.
you know,
Wow.
so.
So was the name Diva One derived from one of your songs, "Divas Need Love" too?
Actually, but see, Bernadette is really the diva. But then
Okay.
but I thought she had slapped me one on a license plate because she's famous for saying slap me. And I was like, well, if she's not going to use that, she's not going to use the diva thing, then I'll use it. And she'll be slap me one and I'll be Diva One. And it was just a thing on my license plate. And I thought, I'll just name my company that so you can assume that a female is in charge, even though men are divas as well. But
Mm.
but back then in the '80s, it was you would tend to think that maybe it's a female company.
Slap me one from the menopause lyrics. That's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, so Bern has slapped me one music.
Slap me one. I
Yeah,
love
she's
it.
funny.
Oh my
She's
goodness.
funny.
What is something people would be surprised to know about you?
Oh, let me see. My nickname is Weirdo, and I spend a bunch of time with animals. I mean, I love.
Huh.
I have an animal charity called Jams for Animals that I haven't done anything with. I was originally doing music and video to promote kindness to animals, but now I spend all my time on wild goose chases with the DNR here, trying to help injured geese and ducks, and
Mm-hmm.
spay and neutering, feral cats, and I'm rescuing everything all the time. And I love
Wow.
donkeys. I just met some cool
Donkeys.
donkeys. I love
Do
donkeys.
you own
I don't
one?
know why. No, I don't have
No.
enough room for donkeys, but my dream is to have like a few acres for, like rescue animals. That's my
Yeah.
dream. Yeah.
Wow. My dream is if I had a farm, I would have a rhino there.
Okay. Well, I couldn't do a rhino. I could do an elephant or a lion, but not a rhino.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm a
That's
space
yeah.
freak. I love science.
Yeah,
And
I
I
know. I
go
read that in the
watch
book too. Oh my gosh.
rockets a
Star
lot.
Trek, Star Wars, you like all of it?
All of it. And I like the real space. Like I'm sitting here, I'm like, I'm sorry, I get notifications when they're gonna launch when SpaceX is launching another rocket.
Right.
And I'm sitting here talking about crazy stuff. People are like, this is the funny thing. When I go to watch rockets,
Hmm.
I'm like, I'm like, there might be two black people and 500 people. I'm like, where is everybody? Oh, well, I don't know. And then, but I meet the
Well,
coolest people, like people who work for SpaceX who tell me all of this deep, intriguing stuff. And then I
yeah.
try to show a couple of my, look at this thing I taped. They're like, girl, get out of my face with that. I'm like, okay,
Uh,
it's okay. I just like what I like. And
well,
I just
yeah,
like what I
for
like.
sure. Rockets. Hey, I'm sure. Okay, we all know where we were. What's your story? The first time you saw Star Wars, the first Star
I
Wars.
got a story.
Yeah, let's
Listen,
go.
I didn't even know about Star Wars. Me and Lorena, who sings Meeting in the Ladies' Room, went on a
Mm.
double date with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. And
Wow.
they took us to Westwood over by UCLA
Okay.
to see Star Wars. But I missed the first two. They took us to
Yeah.
see, I think, Return of the Jedi or
Oh,
something.
okay. The
They
third
took
one.
us
Yeah.
they took us to see the third one. And I
Yeah.
heard this guy in line yell out, so and so is so and so's father. And people were like, oh, shut up, man. You're ruining it for
Yeah,
everybody.
man. What's up with that?
But it didn't ruin it for me because I didn't know any of it.
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
funny. Um,
Wow.
yeah, so I knew exactly where I was when I saw the first one. We were in Westwood with Jimmy and Terry, and did they get big or what?
Mm.
Yes.
What's your story, Al? You remember Star Wars?
I remember watching it in 1977 with my mom. She took me to the theater, I guess, after coming from the doctors.
Uh huh.
That's all I
No, that's so
remember.
funny. Wait, from the doctors?
Yeah.
Because okay, so my story is I was sick and my dad told me, "Hey, let's go see a movie. You want to see a movie today?" I said, "Yeah, what movie?" He goes, "Oh, Star Wars looks kind of interesting." I'm like, "Okay." And I remember going to Cinerama Theater, right, in Hawaii, and there was nobody in the theater. It was a matinee, maybe
Wow.
5 people at the most. And then I saw it and I remember walking out and going, I'll never be the same again. What just happened? you
Hey.
know,
Yeah.
Eh, very next day, it was a line around the block 3 times, like
How about that?
crazy, man.
So,
Yeah.
Joy, something you said that got me intrigued. Like, you dated Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis.
We just went on a double day because we worked with them. We were the first group they ever recorded. They got kicked out of the time for recording with Klymaxx.
They got kicked out at the
Oh,
time?
really?
Yeah,
Really?
because Prince would call the studio. We would have to leave so they could have their long conversations. Yeah, I'll have to put that in like my follow up book. Oh yes,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was a
Follow a
mess.
book. Yeah.
Oh yes, it was a
Oh,
mess, and
Something
that's how
tells me
we
you
met
got an
them.
encyclopedia of memoirs.
I do,
That was
and
just
what's funny
A.
is there's at least going to be B. But I
Yeah.
thought that I was putting too much in, so I just was kind of
Yeah.
being cautious about not putting everything. But yeah, they had the
Wow.
same attorney that we had, and they came on. There was a song called "Wild Girls" that
Hmm.
they produced on us, which was before the menopause. But because they worked with us in the studio, Jimmy and Terry were the reason I got to sing because
mm,
they
Wow.
said you need to use her voice on more records.
Mm.
Because before that, I was just playing bass, really. And
right.
I sang Convince Me, but I was just playing bass. And they were adamant about it. They were like, nope, nope, she's got to be singing more stuff. And
Wow.
so that just sort of opened the door for me. And then they went to work with SOS Band as well after they
Mm.
worked with us
SOS.
because
Yeah.
they were kicked out, and SOS was sort of like a sister group of ours. They were on a different label, but the same attorney handled all of us. And
Okay.
so he got them that work because they were kicked out. And I remember Terry was on the phone. He hung up and he says, "Well, I guess we ain't in the band no more." And that was it. And
Wow.
then we just went back to recording.
Ow. Wow. That's
Wow.
classic. That's what
That
he
is a
said.
first. I've
We ain't
never
in the
heard that.
band no
Yeah.
more.
I've never
Oh
heard
my
the reason
goodness.
why. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
It's you heard it over here first, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah,
My
yeah.
goodness. We're
They
getting
were.
some exclusive, excellent coverage of whoo, Joyce and
Oh man.
Climax.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Joyce, we can talk to you all day, man. But I know you got.
Yeah. Well, okay, so
Woo.
let's go ahead and talk about the fact that we got the hot release that just came out last week, and it is Cinco de Mayo. We are so excited. We're going to be playing the "I Miss You" salsa mix. Tell me the
Yes.
story of what is like. When did you say, okay, I'm going to make a salsa mix of "I Miss You," my huge hit? Like, there's got to be a story. What's the story?
It's not even my story. There was a guy named Torrey Antonio Crow who lives in Compton, California,
Mm-hmm.
who had a dream of doing a salsa I Miss You. And so he talked
Oh,
to I think a Venezuelan guy named Joel. Forgive me, Joel, for messing up your last name. I've never met him, but
no, no
I'm
worries.
stalking him now. Joel Uriola or something. He's like a jazz pianist and he
Yeah.
does salsa and stuff. So
Wow.
he
Okay.
got together with him and he contracted him to do some music,
Mm.
some salsa music,
Mm-hmm.
a version. And then he didn't like one, so they did it twice.
Mm.
So maybe a year went by and he tried to contact me and I got an email and I was like, all right, because I read my emails unless there's a creepy title. So
Yeah.
I read the email and he said, it's been my dream to think about, you singing a salsa version. Would you listen to this? And he sent me two versions and I was like blown away because it was real musicians playing.
Wow.
Okay, like
Yeah.
horn sections, 5,000 percussionists, which was way too much because I was like, listen, it's 15,000 different tempos here and I can't sing to this. So I'm going to have to
Mm,
cut a lot of these things out, but
mm,
we're going to weld it down into something that we can deal with. And
nice.
so the end of it is what you have now, but it's amazing. And I kept asking him, how can I contact the 1,000 percussionists and the horn players?
Mm,
Because I want to just say I'm in awe of
yeah.
the stuff that you did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I still haven't met them, but I'm on the track.
Mm.
I'm on the track to track them down. I believe they're in Venezuela.
You on the
And
track to track them down, and you on the
yes,
track.
yes, yes, yes.
Wow. Wow. What an
And
awesome
it,
story. And we're so happy
yes.
to debut here in Hawaii the I Miss You salsa mix. Yeah, yeah. Get ready.
Yeah.
Here we go on the MotogawaMusic Entertainment Show. Spin it. Okay, so the next question I have, Joyce, is so thank you very much once again for being part of our second interview. We do
Hey,
appreciate you.
it's
Uh,
nice to be remembered.
oh yeah, definitely. We couldn't do it all in one show. You know what I mean? Can I get it right on now?
Right on. Oh wait, wait.
Right on.
Oh, so much bigger. I love it. Um, Meeting Dick Griffey and Leon
Sylvers.
Sylvers,
Yeah.
um, and bringing them. They brought you to California. Can you tell me a little bit about that story?
You know, people are like, hey, let me get your number. I'm going to call you back and fly you to LA.
Hmm.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but that's actually what, because I'm standing there with my bass.
Right,
Oh, because I loved Shalimar.
right.
I loved Shalimar. I liked Lakeside and the Whispers, but Shalimar was like my favorite.
Mm,
And
Yeah.
so when those buses would roll into town, I would be there, and they, and Dick was like, "I'm gonna remember you." And so then Leon Silver said, who was an incredible producer, he produced all of those hits,
yeah.
wrote and produced most of those hits. He was like, "Yeah, let me get your number because we got a situation, and we could probably have you come out to LA." I was like, "Okay," not thinking it's going to mean anything.
Right, 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 right.
But then maybe a month or a couple of months later, they did call me because they had signed an all-female band, but they had a bass player who couldn't play.
Oh,
And so,
okay.
yeah, they had a bass player who couldn't
And
play.
that
And
band was already Klymaxx. Like,
yep, yep,
oh,
Mm.
yep. Because
okay.
Bernadette
Wow.
Bernadette put the group together in L.A. and I was living in North Carolina.
It was already called. They already named it Climax too. They had the
Mm-hmm.
name. Everything
Yep,
was ready to go.
yep.
Damn. Okay, girl.
They had everything but
Yeah.
the special sauce.
You know the salsa.
Yes. So yeah,
Wow.
they were already together.
Okay.
They didn't
Wow.
have any hits yet, but he was committed to trying to make something work. Here's another story. You mentioned salsa real quick about
Let's
Klymaxx,
go.
which I talk about in the book.
Hmm.
I came, we needed a keyboard player and a percussionist.
Okay.
So we were at Larrabee Sound Studios on Sunset Boulevard, on Santa Monica Boulevard in West Hollywood.
Yeah.
So the person who came that we invited to come to be a part of our band as a percussionist is Sheila E.
Ooh. Wow.
This was
Sheila E.
before,
What
yeah, this was before she and
was
Prince
known?
hooked up.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
She wasn't. No, I mean, we knew,
She
like,
didn't have glamorous life yet. Then she didn't
right.
have
Oh,
the
no,
glamorous
she
life.
didn't have any of
Okay.
that.
Okay.
And she came and she met us, and she was like, "Okay, this stuff is okay." I know the stuff on our first album was probably a little too. It's not quite. It wasn't really us. It was like the producers from Lakeside who did everything.
Mm.
It was a nice record, but it wasn't really much of us. And so she politely declined, and then she just blew up like a year or so right after that.
Yeah.
But that's a funny story.
Wow.
But
Wow.
yeah,
Man, that's some
so
trivia deep
yeah,
in the
yeah,
archives right there. Wow.
hmm
All right. Well,
yeah,
let's talk about Jimmy and Terry making you a lead singer. I'd like to know
Yep.
that
yeah,
story.
yeah. Just Jimmy would be playing the piano like sometimes, and he was like, "You have a really unique quality to your voice." And he just told everybody, he's like, "She needs to sing more of these songs." And even on "I Miss You," Lorena was supposed to sing "I Miss You."
Oh,
The lady who sings "Meeting in the Ladies' Room" and "Divas Need Love Too," and
yeah.
she was sick or something like that. And I was
Oh,
like, "Well, I guess I'll just have to go in and do it. And it
Yeah.
ended up being, a perfect song for my voice. And I wouldn't have had the confidence to say that if Jimmy and Terry hadn't been pushing for
Yeah.
me to sing
Yeah.
more leads. And
Wow.
then, and then Mr. Griffey, he actually gave me a producer contract
Mm.
before that album started.
Mm.
When he heard the Menopause, he gave me a producer contract and basically was like, okay, so you're in charge of the songs that you girls do. And he had, a couple of guys from Midnight Star do a couple, and there's one or two other people, but he was really open, and it ended up being great. But Jimmy and Terry are the reason that I'm singing, or
Wow.
got to sing leads. Yeah,
That's
that was really
awesome.
cool.
Wow. Shout out to
Yeah.
Jimmy and Terry. I'm sure you still keep in touch with them.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. They are special people, and they are the same as they always were.
Mm.
They are the same as they always were.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're still producing, right?
Yes.
Nice. Nice.
Yes, they
Oh,
are.
in fact, just to let you know, Janet was just in Hawaii, so she was in a concert here. Yeah.
They just did some stuff on Janet, I think, maybe year before last. But
Yeah.
yeah, that Janet stuff, that stuff was so fabulous that they did, man.
Yeah.
Mm.
Her whole, all of it, she got that, she locked all that stuff, and that was great. That was
Oh
great.
yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
That Rhythm Nation album is
That,
whew,
yeah,
Whew. Man.
yeah, yeah. She
And
did that,
the dance, choreographing and oh
all of
boy.
it.
Ooh. Um.
Yeah.
All right. So next question I have is, kindly tell us the story of why you got kicked out of Climax. That's
Oh
I can't believe
yeah.
that. What like what? Come on, man. That's like kicking out the CEO. What's going on?
Um, because Motown felt like Jimmy and Terry felt about my voice. We were on MCA Records ultimately, which
Mm.
is Universal, and Motown is part of Universal.
mhm.
So the new president of Motown wanted me to do a solo album and stay in the group, just like he did with New Edition. He had
Mm.
Bobby Brown. He was
Yeah.
over Bobby Brown's project. Johnny Gill, who was also a solo artist on Motown, but he said, I want you guys to record separately. And then you got Belle Biv DeVoe, and then you guys still all record together. And I was like, great, because I could do more hip hop. Because my
Yeah.
first record was with Dougie Fresh. I'm like, I'm going to do more hip
Right.
hop than
Dougie.
I
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
do. Yeah. But they were just incensed that I would do that. And they were just mad. And they were like, I'm out. They just kicked me out
Wow.
because, and something that they used back then was we went to Japan one time before and
Mm.
it was horrible. It was horrible because we had no money. It was just very uncomfortable. And I was afraid of flying for so many years that I actually learned to fly a plane to get over my fear of flying.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow. Okay.
And I refused to go to Japan for one trip because there was still going to be no money.
Mm.
And I'm like, I'm recording records that are going to be big hits for us. One of the records is I'll Be There that I already cut for the
Right.
next Klymaxx album.
Right.
And then they were like, they used that as an excuse because they were like, they just got a new deal with MCA. And actually,
Hmm.
we had a meeting with the head of MCA, and they assured the label that I would be a part of the group. They assured them that they weren't going to kick me out before the next contract.
Right.
And so they got the paperwork for the next contract and informed them after they signed it. And there's like a blank where my name is because I never signed it because they decided to kick me out because I had a Motown deal and
Mm.
because I wouldn't go to Japan that one time. And
Wow.
the head of Motown at that time says, well, you're better off right now just doing stuff on your own. But I never wanted to be a solo artist. I always wanted to be in a band. Um, but
Yeah.
I got to do some hip hop with Dougie
Yeah.
Fresh, and it was like for a week, it was like the number one selling single. And
Sweet.
so in I think it was June of 1989 or 1990, and I was like, okay, I got a little bit of my hip hop fix back in. So
Nice.
yeah, but
Nice.
we
Wow.
stopped way too early. Had we kept going and done two more albums together,
Yeah.
everybody would have been straight. Everybody would have been straight. But that's life. Uh,
Mm.
you got to move on. You got to do you.
Yeah. For sure.
So yeah,
Well, I love that song. I'll be there. That was on your solo album, right? That's the
yep.
solo
That was
album.
going to be a Climaxx record, but I was like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I'm just going to keep it for me since I'm singing it anyway. Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and play that song right about now, ladies and gentlemen. Oh yeah, I like this song. I'll be there on the Motogawa Music Entertainment Show.
Who was the male singer that sang with you on that cut?
A guy named Anthony Bailey, who was from New Orleans, Louisiana, who I also ended up getting a deal on Motown for, but he's one of the artists that got lost in some changeover and never got his shot.
What?
I saw him at show on. I saw him on Showtime at the Apollo, and he won so many times they retired him at the time, and that's how
Mm.
I met him.
So
Man, that
he was
guy's got.
supposed to record a CD, but he didn't get a shot.
He didn't get a shot. We started with one or
Ah,
two records, and then because of the attorney that he got involved, and then there was some conflict with the label, and they were like, "This is just too much trouble to deal with," and it was a big mess.
I'm curious as far as like since we're talking about Motown and everything like that. Another artist from Hawaii that we all know, Bruno Mars. Did you was you like was that the same time when you guys were in Motown and everything? Because I heard that they
No,
didn't really give him any chance either.
it wasn't the same time at all. But when I first heard Bruno's voice on B.O.B.'s record, "It's
Mm,
something on you, baby,"
right.
I was like, "Oh my God." I didn't know anything about him. And
Who
I
is
was
this?
looking online
Yeah.
trying to find anything I could find on him. And then I was mad because it took a long time for him to come out. I was just really mad. I just want to
Mm,
throw that in there.
yeah.
But the second I
Yeah.
heard him sing that, all he had to do was sing that one line. I was like, this voice right here is something. I had no idea who he was. I didn't know what he looked like. I didn't know anything. I just
Hmm.
knew what I felt when he sang. And I was like, can y'all please put something out so I can stop being mad?
Man. So, okay, working to develop Atlanta as an urban music hub is one of your
Yeah.
passion projects. How's that going for you?
Well, it's done great because back in the 80s, I would go to the head of all the different labels and say, you need to build a satellite office in Atlanta because there's a lot of talent here. I
Hmm.
asked Jimmy and Terry to come here. They were like, no, we're staying in Minnesota. We might go to LA, but we're not coming to Atlanta. So stop asking us.
Mm,
I talked to LA and Face about it for quite some time. They ended up coming here, not just because of me, but I told label executives who were in charge, like Benny Medina, Sylvia Rohn, and Randy Jackson from American Idol was working at CBS at the time. I was like, Atlanta, you can fly nonstop to anywhere. It's a place where black people can afford to live in two-parent homes, and there are kids
uh-huh.
that there's no gang stuff like it is in LA, and kids are doing music, and it's a bunch of them, and it's incredible.
Yeah.
And so after I signed Dallas, and then because I had taken him to LA and Face to get some work
Hmm.
producing, they hadn't signed TLC yet, but when they signed TLC, they put him to work, and shortly after that, everybody just started coming.
Wow.
Yeah, I was just trying to get people to notice there was so much talent
You're like
and
the
know.
godmother of Atlanta or something,
Pretty
man,
much. Well,
for
actually,
music,
the
man.
city gave me a proclamation like I'm like the wind beneath the wings of the
Yeah.
urban industry here.
Yeah.
And I haven't
Wow.
done much since then. And there were some kids I signed, two 12-year olds, an 11 and 12-year-old, and put them in a group. Well, you know who Lloyd is,
Hmm.
the singer Lloyd. So
Yeah,
I
Lloyd.
signed Lloyd when he was 12 and then Sammy when he was 11. And I had him in a group called In Tune. And then Sammy
Okay.
became a solo artist on Capitol Records and did a song called I Like It that Dallas produced that was like a number one record in
I
like
like it.
2000 or
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
Okay, that
yeah.
was Sammy. They
Good
split
song.
up.
Yeah.
And then Lloyd, with his group In Tune, didn't have a hit, and the group ended up breaking up. But I stayed with Lloyd and still got him three other deals until he finally ended up with Irv Gotti and did Southside with
Mm,
Ashanti, and
mm.
then the record with Lil Wayne, and then all that other stuff. Because I just was like, I'm through with adults. I'm gonna work with little kids. So I'm grateful that I had a chance to work with them as children, and they grew up to they're still doing records and they're doing well. And then I was like, okay, I'm exhausted with everything. I'm just going to take my old behind in the studio and sing some stuff for myself.
Awesome. Awesome.
So,
Awesome.
and write about it.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So I got another question because I talked to Dee Dee. I want to shout out to Dee Dee. Dee Dee
De-
is
Decent
manager.
entertainment.
She's everything. Actually,
She
she's everything.
she's
She's assistant.
a
She's the bellman.
manager.
She's everything for you. I mean, awesome.
Yeah.
And thank you very much, Al. Shout out to Al for connecting me with Dee Dee. But Dee Dee told me, I told him, okay, so I'm gonna do. I still say yes. I'm gonna play meeting in the ladies' room. I'm gonna play, men all pause. I'm gonna play,
Hmm.
you know, I'll be there and I miss you and the salsa mix. She's like, man, you missing a song, and I'm like, what song? And she's like, convince me.
Convince me.
And I said, I never heard of that song. And they go, man, you need to
Yeah.
listen. So I went on my Spotify and I checked it out, and I was like, wow, that is awesome. Talk to me about the story about Convince Me.
That was the first song that I sang. Lynn Malsby, who wrote "I Miss You," also wrote "Convince Me." I think
Oh,
Lorena wrote a little bit of "Convince Me" too, because
okay.
that was another Lynn Malsby classic. And
Mm.
I was shaking so much recording it that I thought I was going to have to see a hypnotist so I could calm down. And
Wow.
then, and then when we did it in
Wow.
concert, I was like
Yeah.
playing my bass and you look. I was like, calm down, calm
It's
down.
a
It's
great
just
song.
it's a beautiful
Great
song
song. Yeah.
that has not been heard. It's something that I might try to do like another version of. It'll still be basically the same. It's just nobody's heard it.
Well,
You
they're going to
know,
hear it today because I actually found it and I
I love
got it
that.
into MP3 form and I'm going to play it today.
It's a very nice song. It's a
Beautiful
very
song.
nice song.
Beautiful
Yes.
song. Without further ado, all my listeners out there, Motogawa Music Entertainment Show is proud to present this awesome song called Convince Me by, is it Klymaxx, right?
Klymaxx. Yes.
Klymaxx. Convince Me. Was that the first album?
That was the second album.
Second album. Second album. Check it out. Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So we ask all of our interviewees this question. Who are your inspirations in the music world?
Well, it started out as, well, believe it or not, the Beatles.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
Beatles.
The Beatles. Yeah.
She loves you, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like
Yeah.
something. They made me want to write songs. And then after the Beatles, there was Stevie Wonder, who was still a kid.
Mm,
And then
mm.
when Michael Jackson came out, I lost my mind.
Oh yeah.
Um, so the Beatles, Stevie Wonder, and Michael Jackson, way
Mm,
back in the day. Um, and then I have an appreciation for so many people and so many different styles of music,
yeah.
because I could do, like, I used to love Rick Springfield and of course, like, the Supremes.
Yeah.
you know
Yeah. Wow.
Ed, before anybody was born, it was the Ed Sullivan Show, watching Michael Jackson as a kid and then Diana Ross and the Supremes,
Hmm.
those things. And then I saw when Diana Ross did this thing for the Queen last year, a year before last.
Oh, I didn't see
I
that.
was like, oh my God, she's
For the Queen?
incredible. For the,
Wow.
yeah, the Queen,
Okay.
like a few months before she passed. It was the
Oh.
Queen's Jubilee.
Oh.
Go
Yeah.
find that online. Diana Ross is like, between her and Cher,
Yeah.
it's like
Share. Yeah.
they are doing it, and
Mm.
they are doing it well. They are inspiring. Like, you want to inspire people coming behind you
Yeah.
to live well in their
Yeah.
bodies.
I like Cher's
And
new Christmas song she came out with too. Like that. That was pretty cool. That new
that
Christmas
was,
song.
yeah. And
Yeah.
the fact that they just let her into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I'm like, I thought she would have
Should have
been
been
in
a
there.
long time ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that shocked me. But
Man.
I loved, and like right now, Celine Dion
Mhm.
Celine Dion.
is just, I love her heart, and
Mm.
I got the chance to see her one time in Vegas when she was healthy doing that. And,
Yeah.
I waited half my life to hear her do, you know, uh, the theme from Titanic. But I'm
Right.
inspired I love Bruno. I
Yeah.
like Drake. I
Yeah.
like a lot of, I have like lots of one offs of people. Like, there's like one or two particular songs that I might love and not know anything about the group. I love
Mm.
Pink. I like everybody.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah, I like
and you
everybody.
and you gotta. I mean, in the music world, the more variety and the more you're open to music, even classical, even jazz, even everything. It makes you more well-rounded and makes
It
you
does.
a bigger, force in the industry as far as to write hit songs of all genre. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be. I agree with you,
Yes.
Joyce. It shouldn't be like just like this. You know what I mean? I've written over 1,000 songs, all styles, all genre, and man,
Yeah.
you just do it. And the real people, they do it because they love it, not the money.
That's it. That's it.
You
That's
know what
the
I mean?
only reason. That's the only reason. That's the number one piece of advice I give any artist.
Hmm.
Do it because you love it. Do it for nothing. Do it because your soul is screaming at you. That's why I stood with a bass guitar, with no
Yeah,
case, with no electronics. I'm just
yeah.
on the corner playing something nobody could hear.
That's beautiful.
But
That's
that's
so
how I got
beautiful.
my start because they were
Yeah.
like, she's serious. Just come on, little girl, come on. She's
She's
serious.
serious.
And
Woo.
that's it. And you reminded me when I was a teenager, I used to listen to classical on this station in Raleigh, North Carolina. And my friends were
Hmm.
like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I don't know. I just like some of it. I don't know." So anyway,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I'm a jingle writer, so I write a lot of jingles in Hawaii.
Ah, catchy,
So
catchy.
I have to know every style of music and everything because I never
Yeah,
know what they're going to throw
yeah,
at me. You know what I mean? Sometimes they're like, okay, just
yeah,
make some classical instrumental music. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
okay,
Or
for this
give me
like
something
flooring company,
jazzy.
I want
Yeah,
some jazz
yeah,
music for
jazz.
this, or yeah, it's crazy. But
I
hey,
love that.
I want to go ahead and have you shout out to your friends, family, coworkers, Calabash cousins, people that you know, people that you don't know, people that you met at the grocery store and at the gas station. It's your stage, late. Go ahead, Joyce, and let us know who you want to shout out to.
I want to shout out to all people who are kind to animals. Thank you.
Woo! Yeah.
Especially people who like donkeys, like me. This is ridiculous, I know. I
Meow.
would like to shout out to all the people who don't quite fit in everywhere. Like
Mm,
when I go watch Rockets and I'm the only black person there, but then I
mm,
meet all kinds of new friends and it's really, really cool. So it's okay if you don't fit in everywhere. There's somewhere all of us fit.
mm.
Okay? So a shout out to all the people that don't quite fit, but we're still cool anyway.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
my parents who I haven't seen in 50 years because they've been gone and watching over me and just, man, I'm just grateful to be here. And I'd like to thank DeShannon, Eason, Dee Dee for setting this up and
No doubt.
being Girl Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and weekends, just like running everything. So,
Wow.
and I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to be in my body. I'm grateful I have my mind, what's left of it, my
Mm.
voice, and hey, let's get to dancing and singing and enjoying the rest of our lives, man.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Wow. Thank you very
That's
much
it.
for being part of our show. And we do appreciate you once again.
Hey,
This has been an awesome interview, Al. Oh, my
I've had fun with
goodness.
you guys.
Once again, thank you so much, Joyce Irby, for being part of our show. And it's been a privilege and an honor. And it's actually surreal right now. I can't believe that we actually did an interview with Joyce Irby from
It's been
Klymaxx.
it's been
Unreal.
fun. It's been fun. And the cool one of the coolest things is Alex's first concert. I was there. I mean, I love that though. I really love that. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Wow. You got anything else
I
to
love
say,
it.
Al?
I would just like to address her underrated songs from her albums, like "Ask Me No Questions." I played that off repeatedly all the time, more than I did. I miss you.
Mm.
Ask me no questions.
Question right.
And then when your second album came out, I played "Sexy," and, and I
Sexy,
took
yep.
I
Actually,
played "Divas
I
Need
love that.
Love Too." That's where
That's a good
I
song. Love that
That's a
yeah,
good
song.
song.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah, we
"Divas
took
Need
it.
Love Too," and I just want to address all those underrated songs that nobody
Thank
heard before.
you.
But I love those songs,
Thank
and
you.
it's such an honor to meet you. 37 after the first concert I ever saw, and yeah, it still blows my mind. That we're talking to you
I
right
love
now.
it.
Yeah,
Well, I'm going to
Yeah.
continue to try and get you gigs here because I want you guys to come here. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
man. I'm
I
like,
want you.
hey,
yeah, we
Yeah.
want to try to get you on the Blue Note or Hawaii Theater.
Blue
You're
Note,
guaranteed to.
Hawaii
Yeah,
Theater, Blaisdell. Maybe I do have a promoter that might be bringing like Stevie B and a bunch of other people to Hawaii at the same time. So
that
maybe
would
we
be
could add you to the
perfect.
bill. Something like that. You know,
That would be perfect.
I'm trying to figure it out right now because I have a
Yeah.
lot of connections in Hawaii. So
Well, I would think so.
yeah,
Yes, I hope so.
I'd like to give a shout out once again to Joyce and Tweety Bird, of course.
Tweety Bird.
Tweety!
Tweety Bird, yeah,
Tweety, don't
yeah.
let them cut your head off. No, okay. So, Al, you're responsible to make sure at some point they at least see Tweety's head if they don't see it. Okay.
I see Tweety's head all the throughout
Okay.
the
All
whole
right.
interview.
All right. Good.
I don't know
You're
about Len.
responsible. That's a big responsibility, my brother. Big.
Yes, it is. I appreciate you guys. This has been really
Yeah.
cool.
I'll tell you what,
Okay.
Joyce, it's amazing. Your life is amazing. The names that you dropped in this interview, we could only dream to have met. Like crazy.
Yes.
I
Unreal.
cannot complain. I
Yeah.
can't complain. I'm grateful that I'm still in my body, still meeting people and learning
Yeah.
things that I'm learning. Like I learn something new every day. So I'm
Yeah.
grateful.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
once again. And
Okay.
yeah, keep us posted on your new drops.
I will. I
Yeah.
will. And hey, I'm excited about people dancing to the salsa version of I Miss You.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
for
appreciate
sure.
it. All
All
right,
right.
guys.
Thank you.
I'll see you out there at some point.
Have a good weekend.
All right. All right. You too. All right.
Take care.
Take care.
Aloha.
All right. Bye
Bye.
bye. Aloha. Okay.